Hey all, Anthony here. The previous video I made for school was a scripted rant, which I mentioned, but I wanted to do a rant about something I actually care about firstly, and secondly, I want it to be off the top of my head. So today we're gonna be talking about something. I'm not really sure what though. That'll work. These are console-exclusive games. Each system, from Nintendo, PlayStation, and Microsoft, the Xbox, has exclusive games. So from every section, I chose 2 of the actual exclusive games that belong on that console, and 1 game that's just sort of a fan favorite of mine. And today, we're starting with Xbox. Now, the first one, I might as well just get it out of the bag. Gears of War. I don't yet own a physical copy of this game. I have it digitally on my Xbox One. It's a re-release of the first one. Gears of War Ultimate Edition, I believe it's called. If not, it will be corrected in post. But I still haven't sat through and actually played that one. The next one is my second favorite of it, because of some purpose. The main reason is because this one's just sort of my turn off your brain and do shit like Grand Theft Auto, but this one's just exclusive. It's Forza Horizons. I specifically decided to bring out this one since it's the most recent, so it has the most features. But for the most part, this one's fine. I just like driving around destroying shit, and it's a good way to connect with a friend of mine. This is one of his favorite games of all time. I haven't contacted him to talk about the game yet. Probably will at some point. That's that one. The next one is the Halo series, of course. I decided to pick out Halo 3. I don't really know why. Okay, 1 second. Halo 3, I just decided to bring out because it was the most recent generation. But not even that, it was I seriously have no idea why I chose this one. My favorite Halo game overall is probably the most recent, Halo Infinite. I just find the gameplay really fun, and I really like that it's a free roamer, so I can just do more shit in it. But I don't yet have a physical copy of that game. Again, I have it digitally. But I do have a physical copy of Halo 2. This one, to me, when I first went on a Halo binge to play through all the Halo games, was the best one. It was my favorite before Halo Infinite came out. I really like being able to actually play as the alien for once. That was interesting to me, because I played the games in chronological order. So I started with Halo Reach, then the first Halo game. Either of those you play as the alien, and this one, there are actually a few sections where you do, so I found that interesting. And not only that, I love the story itself. It just made me feel the most emotions, and it was my favorite Halo game before Halo Infinite came out. It still has my favorite Halo story, because I remember it bringing out more emotions in me. But in terms of gameplay, this is probably only my second favorite now. And that was the Xbox section. Next up, we gotta move over to the PlayStation section. I'll start with my most recent gen. I did a playthrough on the channel, and I did finish it. It's just that the final few videos refuse to upload, and I don't really know why. I've tried everything, but I give up. Yeah, it's a Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now, I know there's more Ratchet and Clank games. I own the reboot on PlayStation 4, and I know they've been around since, I believe, the PlayStation 2 era. But they've always remained exclusive to PlayStation, so it's nice to me. I find the platforming in the games really fun from what I have played of the first one, and this one I really love the story. I mean, compared to most other stories, it's pretty generic, but I still had a good time with the story. It's not the best story ever, but I still had a good time with it. The next one is another exclusive, and it is Uncharted. I decided to bring out the Nathan Drake collection. I own all 3 games on PlayStation 3, so I just didn't feel like grabbing all of these, so I just grabbed myself the collection. These are platforming games, and I feel like this was truly a start for 3D platforming video games. Like, Mario 64 showed what 3D games could be, and it had great platforming, but I feel like this is what started the most common platforming section. It also sort of started a trend that I sort of hate. You notice how in this one, character holding a gun, title in front. Character holding a weapon, title in front. Character holding a weapon, title in front. Not this one. I'm talking about the Xbox One specifically. Just put the font over that. And I guess it started even before this with Halo Combat Evolved, but I don't know. I feel like it was done way less back then, but since the Uncharted game covers came out, it's just been more and more common for that to be the box art for most marketable things. But that doesn't really matter since I played through the first game a decent amount, and I had a really fun time with it. I know the gameplay gets better later on. I've been meaning to go on a video game binge for this one, but I haven't, because I suck at video games, but I don't know, I've been improving lately. Maybe I should. But overall, this is just another one of the PlayStation exclusives that it's pretty iconic. The next iconic PlayStation exclusive would probably be God of War. I decided to bring out PlayStation 2 God of War because it's a more classic version, but it's just the next PlayStation icon. It's not my personal favorite, though. The personal favorite for me, Spider-Man PS4. I got this when I first got my PlayStation 4, which I'd say is when I truly started getting obsessed with video games. Like, I was always a fan before, but this is when I truly started to get obsessed during the PlayStation 4 era. I got during the Black Friday deal a PlayStation 4 Slim bundled in with Spider-Man in 2016, I believe. No, not 2016. That's 2017. The gameplay itself for this one is incredibly fun. I just had such a good time playing through it. The story itself is great, but I might be a bit hypocritical on that because I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero. And this is a PlayStation exclusive, but I feel like it didn't have to be. I feel like this would go well on every other console. Like, the PlayStation 4 didn't really bring anything new to the table. This could have been on any console, any of the platforms, but it stayed on PlayStation 4, so as a result, it is exclusive, so I chose it. The final one is Nintendo. Now, I mostly chose recent gen systems since old Nintendo systems are really hard to find original games for. I mean, you all know I have Wario World, but I feel like that one never really got as much traction as any other game. But something that did get traction was Mario. This is a Mario Game & Watch I have. Yep, look at that, Mario. Started video games, truly. Well, I guess it was more of the revival of video games because of the video game crash of 1972. No, 1978. That's when the video game crash happened. And when Atari released E.T. for the 7000, and it was seen as the worst game ever, and it basically completely shut down video games in general. But then Nintendo came in with Super Mario Bros. And saved the video game industry. And then later on, they released Super Mario 64. The start of just truly great 3D games. And since then, most of the 3D games has made some impact. I mean, there are a few that haven't. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 were sort of the start. And I feel like, but they were still respected in their own right, because they still felt like 3D Mario games. And Super Mario 64 DS, though not as appreciated, was really what justified the DS existing, and as a result, we got a bunch of amazing games. Like Brain Age. I don't really have that many of the absolutely fantastic DS games, but, you know, this really started getting casual players involved, alongside the Wii, which I have tons of nostalgia for. So as a result, Mario, but the ones that are unappreciated a little bit and just aren't really as much as 3D Mario games, was Super Mario World. Super Mario 3D World, that's the one. See, the title slips from my brain. The other one is Super Mario 3D Land. This one is a bit more appreciated since, just like Super Mario 64 DS, it showed the purpose for the 3DS existing. But I still feel like people don't talk about this game as much, because when 3D World came out, it was basically better in every way. But unlike Super Mario Land, Super Mario World didn't really justify the Wii U existing. It later got released on the Switch, which is the version I own, and it's a great game. Had a good time with it. Another game I have yet to complete, though. The next iconic Nintendo series is The Legend of Zelda. I brought up Breath of the Wild because I feel like even though the previous Zelda games, like The Legend of Zelda, the very first one on NES, started the adventure genre, and every single one after that was just a fantastic game in general. Especially Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. That's another one that justified 3D gaming, like how it could be even more than just fun. It can be like art, and it was the first one that truly started the story and made that more appealing. But The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I feel like, changed the video game genre, known as free roaming. I feel like more games should replicate this. Not fully, like not just a straight up ripoff, but just replicate the open world feeling. But most games, because of the internet nowadays, are worried that if they do that, they'll be seen as ripoff. It's what happened to Genshin Impact. I mean, I know the trailer are basically ripped off one-to-one on the Breath of the Wild trailer, but I feel like that was just a marketing scheme, because the game itself, though it has that open world aspect of it, is more about like the gotcha shit. I'm disappointed that even though everyone agrees that this is definitely a piece of art, the 3 roaming style hasn't really applied too much. The closest thing we get is Halo Infinite, and even then, that one's more about the first person shooting. It's more about Halo. And everyone else is basically just worried about being seen as a ripoff thanks to the state of the internet nowadays. So it can't really be replicated. The final Nintendo series that is incredibly iconic is Pokemon. This is the only one I have that isn't a loose cartridge. The Pokemon that I do have, Omega Ruby, young me decided to peel the cover off. That fucking dickhead. And they also decided to chew it, I guess, so it takes a lot of effort to get into the machine. And it just fucked me over. But the next franchise that's the most popular, and the third pillar for Nintendo is Pokemon. But like I said, I'm choosing my personal favorite exclusives. And besides, most Nintendo exclusive games have that honor of being at the top of the ranks. From Mario all the way to Metroid, even though this one never really reached the heights, there's still a massive fan base for it, and you still hear news all over the place about it. And specifically the story of this one is that everyone thought it was a rumor, and then now it's here. Whoa. But again, this one isn't really my choice. I just wanted to prove my point that every single Nintendo exclusive usually ends up being a brand new pillar for gaming. Even Splatoon, something that came out on the Wii U, and that was a strictly online game. It didn't really have a story or anything. It got a sequel, and it's a really good Nintendo exclusive that's still talked about and still played. But, without further ado, we're going to do my final true choice for my favorite Nintendo exclusive all time. It's Animal Crossing. I'm sorry. What? No, I'm not sorry at all. Animal Crossing is fucking amazing. I love it so much. It's just the most relaxing game I've ever played. Most games have my tension up a little bit. So they expect fast reflexes and just a ton of effort. This doesn't require that, and that's nice. I love that change of pace that the Animal Crossing games give you. Granted, they're not the only casual games. There's Stardew Valley. Slime Rancher is a pretty good one. The other two, I guess, would be Harvest Moon and The Sims 4. I never really got into The Sims, but my friend is a huge fan of it. It's just not personally my thing, I guess. Since it doesn't really feel like there's any challenge and there's just a lot of waiting. With Animal Crossing, there is that little bit of challenge, which I enjoy. It's relaxing, but still has that bit of tension. And with annoying villagers you don't like, having to move things by hand so it takes a bit longer, just little annoyances like that make the game just feel like life, but an ideal version of life. And the other one is Harvest Moon. I'm not a fan of Harvest Moon. I'm sorry, I played through this one, it was too ugly, but I tried some of the older Game Boy and NES games, and it was just too... I didn't like it at all. I guess these two can actually be considered pretty similar in the fact that they both have that little annoyance, but I feel like Harvest Moon just takes that annoyance too far. I don't like that one. That one's my enemy game, if I have to choose one. But Animal Crossing has the perfect balance of annoyingness with actual relaxation. By perfect balance, I mean the annoyance is very low, while the relaxation is very high. And in both games, most of my villagers ended up being actually great, except Freckles. Fuck Freckles. And I hate that she visited my town. Like, I got rid of her after a little bit, but she still visited my town just like a week ago and annoyed the shit out of me. I didn't know that was possible. But, again, that's sort of just the inconvenience in Animal Crossing that you can expect. And I enjoy those. It's not like long waiting times, even though sometimes it takes days on end for things to ship. Yeah, but it's not like I want to keep playing, but there's more to wait for. It's, okay, I have to wait for this tomorrow, let's go find something else to do. That's more of what this game is. And I just love it. It's my favorite Nintendo game now. So those are the exclusives. Fuck it, I'll continue. Alright, so the next ones I want to cover is AAA games. I once again have 3 picked out, and I'll probably dip into some other games. The first one I want to talk about is Doom. On my Tumblr, I posted 4 art pieces of what I consider to be the badasses of gaming. The badasses of gaming are basically just the people the first-person shooters that does murder on the regular. The first one I'd say is Halo. Second one would be Dead Space. Third one would be Metroid. And the fourth one, and probably the biggest badass of gaming, is Doom. Naturally. Have you played his games? They're so violent, it's amazing. I played through 3 types of Doom games. I've never completed a Doom game, but from what I always play, I fucking love them. There's Doom 2016. I didn't realize this was a pre-owned game. I got this one for my sister. Fuck it, it's fine. Still, this one I actually got the furthest in, but eventually my Switch just conked out. I couldn't play it horribly anymore, which was most of the time when I played this, and I just sort of fell out of it. The next one would be Doom Eternal. That's a great one. The graphics look amazing, and the platforming and the movement is just really good, and I love just fucking punching people in these games, man. The third and final one, I played the OG Doom 2 as a re-release on the PlayStation 4. I'm starting to lose my breath. I've been ranting for 27 minutes straight. But that one was sort of one of the classic ones, one of the ones that ran on old school computers. And I felt like that one still held up to some extent. I mean, I think the recent games are obviously better, but I'm not super disgusted going back to those ones. And I chose this one because I feel like it's one of the most recognizable ones. The next AAA game, I decided to choose Grand Theft Auto 5 specifically. I have more of the Grand Theft Auto games, like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and Vice City, and I also have the very first Grand Theft Auto game on the PS1 Classic. It's right here. It's a 2D one, which is a bit strange, considering that only 3 games were 2D in the Grand Theft Auto series. But those are still fun games, but the one that I chose was Grand Theft Auto 5 specifically because it's the one that has the most to do, okay? The cheat codes are really fun. I've used it to connect with multiple people, and it's another one of those turn off your brain and fuck around games for me. With Forza, that's mainly driving around, and that applies here too. But in this one, you can do a little thing called the murder, and it's fantastic. It gets my bloodlust out without me having to put in as much effort as Doom. Like, Doom makes you feel like a total badass, but it's really damn difficult. This one makes you feel like a badass, is easy, and you get your bloodlust out of the way. It's great. The final AAA game, I feel like it would just be wrong for me not to bring up Battle Royale games, specifically Fortnite. Actually, what? No! Yeah, no, I do have another option. Fucking Minecraft. That's the better one. That's the better choice for me. Oh man, I think it started out as a small team and a small indie thing, but now it's ran by Microsoft and Mojang and just a handful of companies, and all create this fantastic game that you can just live and you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can beat the final boss if you want to. You can recreate the entire planet if you feel like it. You can go on survival mode and kill a bunch of zombies if you want to. You can build a giant-ass castle if you want to. It basically just gives you the freedom to do whatever. Breath of the Wild was sort of like that, the free roam aspect. But Minecraft adds that free roam aspect years before Breath of the Wild, and it lets you do even more with it. Man. I mean, Fortnite's fine. I've played it with another friend of mine a couple of times, and that's basically the only time I have fun with it. I don't usually play it by myself. But Minecraft is a great multiplayer game, and I can play it by myself. And it's a lot of fun. Man, I really should get a physical copy of that game. I only own it digitally, but I have seen a few physical copies flying around. Maybe I should grab one the next time I go on a video game hunt. But for now, the final tier I mentioned earlier was indie games. Indie games are all digital, so I don't really have anything to hold. Well, some aren't, but I just haven't bought physical copies yet. The first one I'll bring up is Five Nights at Freddy's. It started out as just an indie game, and it's finally made its way to consoles with FNAF Security Breach. I don't like horror games too much. They terrify the shit out of me. I'm too much of a pussy to play them. But I still appreciate what FNAF has done for the indie game community as a whole, and I still respect Scott Cawthon a lot for the happiness he's given to millions by now. And the FNAF games, even though I never really played them with everyone, it usually helped me connect to so many people throughout my life, just bringing them up. And the things that have been created by fans are just absolutely amazing. The music, the fan games, all of it. It's the fan art, it's just all amazing what Scott Cawthon was able to create with his simple little games and his fan base. At the end of Security Breach, he is retiring. Probably wasn't the best time considering everyone knows where he lives now because of some stupid bullshit to do with politics. I don't care all that much about politics, so you know, it especially upsetted me because I did not understand it. I think my favorite moved. But I still feel like he deserved to retire after all these years, and I hope he's pretty well off thanks to the amount of money his games have sailed. And that's not even counting what Scott Cawthon has done for charity, donating millions. It's truly is amazing. The next indie game I want to talk about is probably just sort of... What is the next indie game I want to talk about? Amari. Amari is fantastic. When it first came out, it was all just sort of compared to Undertale, my favorite game of all time. But Amari is just so much more than that. It's an amazing story with beautiful pixel art visuals. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but the game as a whole is just a fantastic representation of trauma and what it can actually manage to do to a person. I love it. In general, I guess story-based games are my personal favorite, but I don't know. Amari especially just really hit close to home. I played this at a time in my life a couple months ago where I've actually had just gone through all my PTSD. No, not even that. I was dealing with having PTSD. Some events in my life were fully, completely over, and I was still dealing with the PTSD and trauma of that. And I feel like Amori really showed me the consequences of what could happen. And it's just also a fantastic representation of mental health. And overall, it really helped me out. And it's still a good game. Amar, I would replay it, but I got the good ending the first time, and I don't want to fuck that up. So, I'm not going to. If you played the game, you know why.
Close.
I'm not gonna spoil it in here. The final indie game is Undertale, like I mentioned earlier. Favorite game of all time. And it was probably one of the first true indie games I was exposed to and remember vividly. I remember that I used it as a method to connect with multiple people, and Undertale was just such amazing thing. Even before I ever actually played the game, I just used it as a method to connect with my friends and to have a good time. And it was honestly my first introduction into fourth wall breaking humor, which I fucking love. I find it hilarious to me. Need a breath. But when I actually played the game for the first time, it was at the school. My friend installed it on the computer for me, and I had the honor of actually playing through it for the first time. By that point, I already sort of knew the story, but even just experiencing it for myself, was a whole different experience. I feel like Undertale is a game that's better if you don't get spoiled because of it, but it still works fine if you do get spoiled. It still was a really emotional journey for me. And I didn't play the genocide route for the longest time, or the neutral route. I just love the pacifist route so much. I just played through that over and over and over again until I got bored of the gameplay, which is sort of a RPG style where you actually put effort into things. It's very original. I haven't seen anything like it since, except in the sequel Deltarune. Well, not really sequel. No one knows what the fuck that is, but another Toby Fox game, basically. And those are the only time I've seen that gameplay style used, and it's so unique to Undertale that, unlike The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I don't want it to spread out to others. I want it to stay in that area. But, going back to what I was saying about only playing the pacifist route over and over and over again, eventually I did get a little bit bored since I was playing over and over again for a year straight. It was bound to happen at some point. So I quit the game. And I think about 2 years ago was when I finally played through the genocide route. And man, after all that time, I avoided it. I avoided the genocide route because I was too scared to hurt all my friends in the game. Sans, Papyrus, Alphys, Undyne, Toriel, Ascor, Napstablook, who was my channel mascot for a while, since basically the beginning of this. I didn't want to hurt any of them. But I think when I was playing the Genocide route, I just lost all that. And I got the consequences for it. I truly never felt pain like that in the first place. It was horrible. Well, I wouldn't say I never felt pain like that. I mean, I have my own personal real life trauma on this, but in terms of the games the games that make you feel pain, emotional pain, Undertale Genocide Route was the thing that really topped it. Afterwards, I went through a full true pacifist playthrough, and then just quit the game forever. I think I uninstalled it at first, and I had to repurchase it last year, so I could own the game again on a new computer, on a new Steam account. So, in other words, the Genocide Route basically never happened to me. I still want to do a playthrough on the channel just so I can relive the experience of the pacifist route once again, and maybe at some point relive the pain of the Genocide route that cost me. Favorite game of all time. Love it. Helped me connect with so many people. Love the story. Love the gameplay. All amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I talked about the 5 pillars of gaming. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, AAA, and indies. I forgot some. There are 2 more pillars of gaming that I completely forgot about, and maybe 2.5 technically. There are VR games and phone games. Phone games have the 0.5, which is AR games. But I'll explain what that is when I get to it. Now, we're gonna start with VR. I'm gonna start with an honorable mention here real quickly. Super Hot VR. I would bring it up in the main 3, but it originally came out on consoles and PC. So I can't really say it's a VR exclusive, but yeah, that's one. But the games that I have chosen start with Job Simulator VR. That one's PR exclusive. That one's another turn off your brain and fuck around game. Honestly, all VR games are like that, but, I mean, a few of them you have a goal, and you do sort of have a semi-goal in Job Simulator VR, but, you know, following that goal isn't how you have fun with the game. You have fun with it by breaking all the rules of social norms. By throwing drinks at a person's head, punching your customer in the face, doing all the things you're not allowed to do in real life, otherwise you'll get arrested, and doing it. It's a great time. Definitely a good one. The next one, I guess, would be Beat Saber. Beat Saber is, a rhythm game, and it was one of the first ones that came out for VR in general. There are a bunch more exercise games on there, but Beat Saber is sort of just more than just an exercise game. Like, there's this one game, I think it's called, I don't remember, I'll put it on the screen, but that is basically the same as it, but you don't really have the rhythm or anything. And you don't have that huge variety of zones, you only have a little bit. But in Super Hot, it's not fuck. In Beat Saber is what I meant to say. In Beat Saber, you not only feel like a Star Wars awesome bitch, it's a great rhythm game and a fantastic exercise game. I have a full playthrough of the channel of Volume 3. Had a really good time with that one. And the final one is technically a VR game. There's only really two like it, but I feel like it's just a genre within that genre. And I'm specifically choosing the Alice in Wonderland game. There's the Alice in Wonderland Down the Rabbit Hole and Moss. Alice in Wonderland is something I'm a huge fan of. I love Alice in Wonderland. I love the insanity part of it. That would be specifically Alice Madness Returns I'm thinking of, but I feel like in general, if you just apply the logic that this is a mentally ill girl, it makes it even cooler and even edgier. But specifically Alice in Wonderland Down the Rabbit Hole is a really fun story. I just love it so much. And it's like a prequel to the official Alice in Wonderland. It starts out with, we don't know this at the time, but Alice and her dad making up a story together. And that story is the game we're playing in Wonderland. And you play through solving puzzles, and every now and then you get to make the choice. And you have to also find these envelopes, otherwise you might get a bad ending. The envelopes can be hidden anywhere throughout the level. Well, I just have way more to say about this game because I played it way more. It's super fun. And then at the end is when it's revealed that it was Alice being told the story. And then when Alice goes to sleep, she dreams up Alice in Wonderland, which is where the book comes from. And then the Disney animated movie, and then Tim Burton fucked it up by adding plot. More plot than Alice Madness Returns. Yeah. Next up is mobile. I'll go with Geometry Dash first. I mean, it's spread. For this one specifically, I'm going to choose the main pillars only. They sometimes get console releases, but I don't know. They just work best on mobile, in all honesty. And in all honesty, there aren't that many super high tier exclusives for the mobile phone area, which we'll see later. But yeah, the games I'm picking might have versions elsewhere, but let's just forget about that and start off with talking about my top tier choice, Geometry Dash. It's one of those games that I love, but I'm super fucking bad at. Like, the first couple levels, I mastered those throughout my life. It took a whole lifetime to master those levels, but I did it. And now I'm stuck on this stupid level. Basically, it's just a game where you tap the phone to jump and you have to avoid obstacles and patterns. You've probably played it before, since it's free, but I also bought the actual version with money that I spent. I spent my money on a free game. I've reached a brand new low in my life. Anyway. The rest of the game is super fun. Plus, when you buy it, you get access to all these user creative levels, and they're just so creative. And the music itself in the games are fucking awesome. And they also help you out with the platforming. I usually don't listen to the music, since I just, every now and then, with mobile games, you just pop them out every now and then and play them. There aren't many that I play super in-depth. But, so, sorry. The next choice will be Angry Birds. I don't know why I did that. Angry Birds is fucking Angry Birds. Started out on mobile. It's got a lot of games. The most popular one as of now is Angry Birds 3. And, the first Angry Birds actually costs money now. I haven't bought that. And this is one of those games I was talking about earlier where it leaked onto consoles. When I first got my 3DS, a friend of mine gave me this whole pack of them, of just games he owned that he couldn't play anymore because he lost his. And two of them were the first Angry Birds game and Angry Birds Star Wars. I believe these also leaked onto other consoles, not just handhelds, but it started out on mobile. It works best on mobile. To me, there will always be a mobile game, and probably to all of you. Honestly, I haven't played that much of it. This is another one where you just turn off your brain and... Actually, no, there's a little... Like I said, most mobile games you don't focus on. But the next one, I actually do focus on a little bit. It's PUBG Mobile. There are a few games where they have console versions that cost money, but the mobile versions are completely free, and inside that, you can buy a few upgrades. Examples include Fortnite and Call of Duty. But I'm specifically talking about PUBG Mobile, because to me, that one's the most consistently well-running, consistently fun, and consistently good. I'm not really a fan of Fortnite that much, which I've already mentioned, and I've only had fun with other people. But with PUBG Mobile, I just sort of feel that anxiety increase way more. And it's just way more fun to me. I don't know what to tell you. And I feel like there's a lot more strategy because you can't just build your way out of situations. And there's a lot more opportunities to hide. I never played it with a friend before. I've only ever played it by myself. But I still have fun with that. And usually, whenever I play, I get winner, winner, chicken dinner because fucking no one plays the mobile version. Everyone's spent money on it. Fucking losers. Why did I do that? That hurt my soul as much as it hurt all of yours, and probably more. PUBG Mobile is a good game, and I got it for free. And it's one of the few mobile games I can actually focus on. And as for the .5 I was talking about earlier, that would be AR games. AR games stand for augmented reality, and it's basically bringing the video game to the live world. Like in VR, you're sort of entering their world, you're entering their universe, but with AR, you're more taking their universe into us. There are two types of AR games. One is just overlays, where they overlay the graphics on top of the real world, and then you can press buttons to do things. And the second thing is Google. They basically use Google Maps and Google Fit or whatever in order to track your steps and make you move around in the real world. I would be shot in the face if the first one I didn't bring up was Pokemon Go. People have probably been shot in the face while playing Pokemon Go. I played Pokemon Go since it first came out. I fell off it multiple times. I own the game for collector's sake now, and I haven't really played it, but that's the first one. And it's the most dangerous one to me because you sort of have to suck yourself into it in order to find all the Pokemon and get to the hot spots and everything. And a lot of people have died playing it, so it sort of makes me uncomfortable to open it, because, like, what if I do that? What if I'm the stupid one as well? So, yeah, I don't usually play that one, but, I will give it credit, that's one of the few AR games where you move around and have more to do. The second one I'll bring up will be... What will I bring up next? Because honestly, every single AR game has those special elements that make it unique to it. Like even Jurassic World Alive, I first thought it was just, okay, the first Pokemon ripoff. But honestly, it doesn't use AR as much. It doesn't use the overlay feature as much as Pokemon Go does. Okay, I guess it was Jurassic World Wide next. It sort of just uses Google Maps, and even then you don't have to move around all that much, but you can, and it works. And then you play a little mini game in order to get DNA from the dinosaurs, and eventually you make your own cards for battling. And this is a game you can play in the safety of your home, but it still encourages you to move around a little bit. The final one I'll talk about is my personal favorite AR game, and the one I actually use the most. And it's Pikmin Blue. I've never played a official Pikmin game, which, fuck, I really should, because I really love Pikmin Blue, and the characters look fucking adorable. I mean, look at him. Look at Pikmin Bloom the most because it's the one where, first of all, you're safest, and second of all, you still have that fun element. Basically, Pikmin Bloom works as you get all these little Pikmin. You get 3 to start out with, and you can send them on expeditions to get saplings and shit like that. Just items to help your Pikmin grow more, make them happy, give yourself energy, or to create more Pikmin. And plant flowers around your entire city. You grow more Pikmin by walking around as well. And just overall, it's one where you can just sort of shove in your pocket real quick, and then when you're at a stopping point, you can check and just... You can check what you're doing, and you can just set up some things for your next walk, your next expedition, as it said in the game. Definitely my favorite, definitely the one I clearly had the most to say about. Yeah. So those were 7.5 pillars of gaming. I'm gonna probably just say 7 pillars of gaming, and the 0.5 will be a little surprise for all of you if you decide to watch this. This thing's like 40 minutes long by the end of this. It's a pretty big video, I'm sorry. I just have a lot to talk about when it comes to video games. Even though I forgot those ones. But yeah, I hope you all have a good night, day, whatever time you're watching this. For me, it's night. But that's neither here nor there.
Care. Leave. Cut my hair. Care.